Today we're gonna make the most amazing butterscotch pudding. It is incredibly easy. It has this rich, intense butterscotch flavor from the dark brown sugar and the butter that finishes it. There's a little bit of salt in there that like tempers out the sweetness. I've paired it with a super simple whipped cream that just brings everything together. Drama. But this is amazing and you need to make it right now with me. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. Butterscotch pudding. Whew, man, am I excited. You don't even know. All right, so very simple, super easy, just a few, there's like a process and that's it, right? So we're gonna start with dark brown sugar. And this recipe is rich and delicious without needing to caramelize it or anything. There's no need for that. So then, okay, we've got cornstarch. That's one of our thickeners, right? And then we've got kosher salt, kind of tempers a little bit of that sweetness from the brown sugar, because this is more sugar than is in some of my other pudding recipes. So we're just gonna whisk that all together. Try and break up a few of the clumps before you whisk in the eggs. I mean, it's not necessary, nothing terrible is gonna happen, but you know, it helps. So just go ahead and get that. Now you want to make sure that you choose, almost as important as the combination steps, is choosing the right pot for the job. So you want to make sure that you've got enough of a high-sided that you can whisk and it can boil without it spewing out and hurting yourself or others. But also, you know, you want it to be small enough where all of your ingredients are kind of concentrated together. You don't want them to be in so thin of a layer that you can't whisk them and they just burn. So you want to make sure that it's kind of like a medium size. Too small and you're gonna have regrets, trust me. So we're gonna go ahead and put our eggs in. Yep. And then we're gonna whisk those all together, starting in the center and then kind of incorporating all the rest of the brown sugar and the dry ingredients. You do want to make sure you get all of it in there. You start with a nice, beautiful paste. It's just going to look like brown sugar caramel. All right, so that, all of the dries and the eggs have been combined, and now we are ready to slowly add our milk. Yes, a little bit at a time. Go ahead and try and hold your pot. You could also put it on a towel or a non-slip kind of pot holder, but you know, I'm in it now. I have regrets, it's fine. But the point, you don't want to overwhelm it, otherwise it's going to be very hard to incorporate. So you want to make sure that you kind of loosen that base just a little bit before you pour in the rest of your milk. Now again, all of the richness of this recipe comes from the dark brown sugar and then the butter that we're going to finish with. There is no need for heavy cream. We are going to now whisk this endlessly on the stove. Now I'm going to keep my butter and my vanilla over here, and we'll finish with that when we're done. Now before I get this started, I do want to make sure that I have a drop, so somewhere to put the hot done pudding into to cool. I'm going to line a baking sheet with plastic wrap, and that's going to be my drop, but you could certainly use a baking dish with parchment or anything, but you just want it to be a smooth surface to let it cool. Now, you could also put it directly into the molds that you're going to use, but I want to cool it a little faster than that, and it's totally not necessary. Now, we are going to turn this on medium. You could do it on low if you'd like, but I try not to whisk for an eternity, and the only way to do that is to turn it up. And then we whisk forever. Make sure you get the corners. So we are going to whisk this until it starts to thicken, and then I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit more towards low, and then I'm going to let it boil. So, because as it gets a little thicker and the cornstarch starts to activate, you run the risk of it burning a little bit more. It's like a little higher risk than it is right now. All right, so I can start to feel it thickening a bit here now. So it's probably pretty close to boiling. So I'm going to turn it down just a touch, not all the way too low, because then sometimes it won't boil. I'm just going to turn it down just a little bit. You can see that that foam that I created by whisking vigorously has started to dissipate. And it's actually already boiling at this moment, but I start my 1-minute timer by the time when the foam dissipates completely, and then I continue whisking because I want to make sure that this is a nice, smooth, kind of thick, and not foamy pudding. So here we are. It is now boiling. I have no more bubbles, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. We're sweating because it is blazing hot in here. I can tell you that right now. But it's fine because this pudding is bomb. All right, so we are going to turn our burner off, and we are going to add our finishers, right? So we're going to take our butter, and we're going to add this in. Mine is still a bit cold, and that's fine. Nothing, doesn't matter. This pudding is blazing hot, and everything is fine. That butter is just, it's going to make this so rich and luscious. Really bring that butterscotch flavor home. And then I'm going to put vanilla, a little bit of vanilla extract. I like to finish with vanilla because then it preserves all the richness of that flavor. Vanilla has a tendency to dissipate. The flavor kind of, you lose a little bit as it cooks. So there we have it. And now I'm going to transfer to my sheet. All right, just going to go ahead and pour that out. Oh, look at that. Yes, gorgeous. Blazing hot, but sheepery. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and get a little, all right, I'm gonna pop another piece of plastic wrap on top of this, poke some holes to keep it from getting a skin, and then I'm gonna put this in the fridge. It's gonna chill. It's gonna take, you know, about an hour to chill, and then we will transfer them into their beautiful little containers and top it with some whipped cream. All right, it is time to assemble. Our puddings have cooled. Now we're gonna pipe in our dishes. You just gotta decide how much you want each one to have. I'm also going to put a little whipped cream on top, which I've just whipped to kind of soft, like medium peaks, with a little bit of confectioner's sugar, but mostly just, it's mostly unsweetened. Put a little bit more in this one. Now, I'm thinking a little swirl of, I don't think I'm going to go so far as to cannelle, but I'm thinking a little dollop of whipped cream here. You know, just like a little doop doop. No, not in love with that. Ish. Honestly though, the whipped cream is a really welcome addition here because of the brown sugar. The pudding is a little bit on the sweeter side, and so it does make it really nice to have that kind of contrast of the less sweetened whipped cream and your like more sweetened pudding. Also really delightful with this would be a sprinkle of ginger snap or your cookie of choice. But it's time to try. I actually am so excited about this. I love butterscotch pudding, especially right now. So, I mean, you see that came together lickety-split, some whisking, some cooling, and, you know, some waiting. This is the perfect bite. Like, 2/3 pudding, 1/3 whipped cream. Heard it here first. Yes. Oh my goodness. It's everything. It's like You get hit with that butterscotch flavor. It's like that warm caramely notes from the brown sugar that's softened and rounded out with the butter. And there's like, the salt is tempering it. It's not there, you don't know it's there, but it's like tempering all of that sweetness and just rounding out all the flavors. It's like so comforting and just, it's like everything. It's everything. It's everything.